We have this conception that balance is equal pieces of the pie, when in reality, balance is having the most of the things that you want. And sometimes that means, though, that you have to give a little. Sometimes in order for me to be at a children's game, that means that I have to miss one practice. Sometimes in order for me to be able to take my children on a very special trip, that means that there has to be a compromise somewhere else in there. Now that I'm my own boss, I can decide to work 20, 40, 50 hours this week and none next week. I can decide exactly what days to take vacation, what days not to. But no, I don't have to juggle nearly like I used to have to at all in any way, shape, or form. It's a much easier, nicer life. You are coming into an industry that is indeed a business. Again, you can come into it and do as little with it as you want or do as much with it as you want. But as any responsible business owner, you do have certain duties and obligations both to your own customers as well as the people that you've brought into the business and then the organization that you're growing. And you would be doing them and yourself a disservice if you didn't fulfill those obligations that you have. There's a life before, there's a life in the middle, and there's a life now. And what I mean by that is there's a life before direct sales. There's a life while you're building, because many of us bring direct sales into a life. Very few people say, oh, let me give up XYZ so I can join direct sales or multi-level marketing. Most of us take it on and then slowly filter out parts of our life as we move on. So my life before direct sales, I was working full-time as an RN night shift. I had a husband who still to this day travels, but works Monday through Friday and then travels. And then there was a point where it was very hectic, and that was the point where I was still working full-time, but brought direct sales into our lives. And that point was very hectic by choice, though, because I had a vision and I saw what direct sales potentially could be, but we still needed the income because of choices that we had made in our lives. And so that point was very, very, I kind of remember that very much like going to school full time when I was in the university, going to nursing school and working 40 hours a week. That was kind of like that period was. And that lasted for about 3 or 4 years. And then I was slowly able to back that off to where direct sales is all that we have now. And I do have the time freedom and the choices that come with that now. So it was that transition actually that happened.
Okay. And now?
Life is great. Life is very, very good. I can make the decisions about what things I do and don't want to miss. I can, decide that Memorial Day weekend I'm going to, do this with the kids. I don't have to ask anybody for that time off. I ask myself because, I'm president and CEO of my own small business, or, I'm an independent contractor, and so I ask myself. And so life is really good when you're calling the shots. I do indeed make a 6-figure salary, but I like people to understand that it took 10 years to get there. I think that in direct sales there's a myth of easy money, there's a myth of quick money, and there is definitely good money to be made, but it's like with any other business in the world. You don't just buy a Subway franchise and immediately become rich overnight or begin to show a profit. And so I do make a substantial income, but again, it took me 10 years to get there. I had to build it. So I don't mind sharing numbers. I just like to always preference it with it never happened overnight. We're at a point in, I think, our lives where we want to be served. We want that touch again. I think there was a part, 80s and 90s where we got away from that. We were in such a fast-paced world. And now with all of the disasters that have been happening, it just seems like so many of them back to back. We just need that connection and that warmth that comes from somebody knowing my name, somebody knowing my preferences, somebody caring enough to do a follow-up call with me or not. And so I think that need is what's going to drive it. And if we can really continue to capture that as direct sellers, we're going to just propel this business and this industry to a whole new level. I think it would be important for spouses or significant others to know that when their wife, their girlfriend, or their husband, depending on who it is that is getting involved direct sales, that they are getting themselves involved in a business that can be anything that they as a couple want it to be. That it's not limiting. It's not one of those ones that you have to wait every so many years for a pay raise, or you have to work 15 years for a 5-week vacation, but that it's truly a business that can be anything that you want it to be, and that with this kind of business, it's truly okay to dream big. Again, it can be as much as you want or as little as you want. It's going to be totally up to you, and you're in the driver's seat.